How's it going, everyone? It is Drago. We're back with another chapter of Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest, chapter 143, God Battle. And the cover page for this chapter has some of the Arashio and Sace members on it. Kind of a fun detail that, like, the members that are missing are Angel and, like, Jalal and Crime Sorcier. Kind of fun to know that, you know, even though their guild disbanded, those four are chilling together. And Midnight really took the lead here. He is really dressed to have some success. I think it's kind of fun to see what some of the other Sace members are doing at this current time. I mean, they're just standing in front of this town. They're not entirely doing that much. Overall, I wasn't expecting to get a Sace cover. That was out of left field, but pretty cool to see them once again. We pick up the chapter with Natsu and Athena fighting Athena number 2 and Duke. Duke continues to threaten Wendy's life by putting that sword up to her, and Athena counters it by making her eyes turn into flashbangs, I guess, blinding the other Athena and Duke, so it gives Natsu some time to run up, go grab that sword, melt it, and punch Duke straight in the face, setting up the battle between the Athenas and Duke taking on Natsu. Then we cut over to Rogue and Frosh, and they're going into a presumably Gold Owl. And the area that they're entering into is very dark, and it kind of looks like bodies on the floor, which Rogue kind of walks up to one and he says it's a puppet. So I'm going to guess they're probably going into like the laboratory where they probably made Athena at Gold Owl. You don't get to spend too much time with Rogue to figure out what the heck's going on where he is, because we cut back over to Jalal fighting God Serene. Kind of love that God Serene's first move in this fight is just him double kicking Jalal to the face. And you better be ready for him mentioning his 8 dragon attacks quite a bit, because he does it a lot this chapter. So he does this 8 Dragon Slayer attack and he just slams it into the ground, causing the ground to cave in, adding some water and flame effects to it as well, which trying to have Jalal fall to his death isn't exactly the greatest plan for him, because Jalal can just kind of fly around however he wants. And sure enough, he does that, and he does Meteor straight into God Serene. And I'm sure this is a change of pace for Jalal, because, you know, he hits him and then he just gets backflipped straight into the ground. And as he's buried underground, he starts to glow. And God Serene has marked him with 8 dragon marks, which are going to rip and claw their way through his body. And it causes a absolutely massive explosion. For how big of an explosion that was, it didn't really do all too much to Jalal. And as God Serene's kind of distracted by this, you get some glow happening in the background, and it turns out that that is Grand Chariot. So Grand Chariot hits him, and all God Serene can do is just laugh. And Jalal just thinks that this is him putting on a show, like he's talking tough, like he's trying to think he's better than he actually is. God Serene does an attack called 8 Dragons Rampaging Fangs, which causes Grand Chariot to completely dissipate, eating up that magic completely. Kind of love how cocky God Serene got right here, because he's like, you know, they ate up your 7 stars, but I have 8 dragons. And Jalal's like, oh crap, the Dark Dragon being the last one will bite you. And then it just has Jalal get absolutely chomped on. With that Dark Dragon kind of floating around him, God Serene says it's time for the grand finale. The Dark Dragon will expose your sins. Which kind of interesting that it changed his eye color completely, kind of going into Edo Tensei territory. And also just kind of a side thing that the Dark Dragon kind of floating around God Serene kind of looks like Tokoyami from My Hero Academia in the quirk Dark Shadow. And that is the end of our chapter, so my thoughts. Things went pretty fast this chapter with, you know, Natsu and Athena kind of separating their fights. So you get Athena versus Athena and Duke versus Natsu. We don't technically know the full scope of power that Athena has, so I think that she theoretically should come out on top, but she is technically damaged still. Duke is a little bit more interesting because we don't entirely fully know what he can do. And obviously the fact that he can like siphon off people's magics at will, that's going to be a problem if that happens to Natsu. But if you get Athena to win her fight before Natsu finishes his fight with Duke, she could theoretically give Wendy back her magic, and Wendy could join in to help Natsu. And potentially have Rogue join in as well, because he seemed to be following Athena anyway. And then you get the rest of the chapter mainly focusing on the fight with God Serene versus Jalal. Kind of interesting as to how pointless Jalal's magic is against God Serene, because literally most of Jalal's spammed attacks did literally nothing to him. And the fact that he could just straight up eat Grand Chariot. And I kind of figured Jalal was going to have a hard time beating God Serene, because Gajeel lost pretty darn badly to God Serene a few arcs ago. And to me, I couldn't see, Jalal beating him when Gajeel lost to him. Unless if Jalal all of a sudden has some new form of magic that he's never used before, which could be possible. Because Jalal in particular has never really had a power-up throughout the series. He's pretty much just only used Heavenly Body, and that's it. The only thing he hasn't really used yet, he hasn't used Sigma, and I don't really see that stopping God Serene, and especially since it seems like God Serene is going into a power-up with his eyes being black now and having that dragon kind of circling around him. Which, gosh dang, man, every time they get God Serene now, like, for as much as a kind of father character he was in the base series, like, he's getting cooler and cooler as we're going on here. With the start of Spooktober now, I posted a video on curses, so if you want to check that out, check it out. If you have any other Halloween things you would like to talk about, or, have any ideas for Halloween stuff, put it in the comments below. Additionally, any thoughts that you guys have on the chapter, leave in the comments below as well. Otherwise, thank you for watching, and this is Drago, signing out.